In the last few years, people have been talking about how they've had more trouble putting food on the table, securing food. The recession caused food prices to go up significantly. And then recently, the ending or the disruption of SNAP benefits has really like brought people into a frenzy about how hard it is to secure food. People have food insecurity. People are saying that times are getting harder and things are becoming more difficult. But what if we're looking at it the wrong way? What if it's really that the Most High is trying to teach us something that's actually going to improve our lives? It's really all about perspective. What if the solution is not that we have more money for food or that the food prices decrease? What if it's something else? What if we just need to not eat as much food? This is episode 14. Eat less. So, the first time that I realized that I needed to eat less and I needed to feed my family less, the first time I really entertained the thought of reducing how much food we eat, it came out of frustration. So, I say this was around maybe like 20, 2018, 2019. I'm going to say 2019. Around 2019 was a time that I really became weary of how I had raised my family on how much food that they should eat and what meals they ate, how many meals they ate per day. So you may have heard me say this before that I used to feed my family 5 to 6 times per day. I did breakfast, and then I did a snack, and the snack was probably like a piece of fruit. And then I would do lunch, and then after nap time or quiet time, we would have another snack, which was usually something like chips, or it might have been fruit, or maybe before when I was giving them cheese, something like that. And then I would have dinner. And sometimes we might have something after dinner. We might have a dessert, but it was most of the time 5 times a day is how much we ate. And by by normal standards, we were very healthy. Like my family was healthy. Like if you were to look at me with looking from a standard American diet perspective, you would think that my family was really healthy because we were eating, the foods that we ate, it looked like it was pretty good. Not a lot of junk food, everything homemade. But what happened was I came to a place where I was just so irritated with the food. Like I was just like so tired of making food. I'm gonna tell you what really made me frustrated was I felt like my children started talking about food too much. I felt like they were looking forward to the food. They couldn't wait for the next meal. They were always ready for the next meal. Like it was like food was on their mind too much. That began to annoy me. And that annoyance is what led me to begin to question what I was doing and really realize that I was the one that started it anyway. So I was just like, man, like y'all always thinking about food, like just relax, let's find something else to do, wait till the next meal, you're not hungry. But I had to realize that I was the one that built in them this thinking that they needed to eat so much. So I started kind of rethinking how I taught them to eat. I started kind of I started rethinking how many meals I was making. And one of the things was time. I felt like I didn't have enough time. I felt like every time I turn around, it was time for the next meal. We eat this meal and then we clean up and then we go do something. Now it's time for this meal. It was like never ending. So breakfast is another thing too. I came to a place, I don't know, I may have been pregnant at that time, but getting up early wasn't easy for me to do. So I felt like I was getting up late, and then I would end up in a frenzy because I had to get breakfast done or we had to get breakfast done. It was like, hurry up, but we got to eat breakfast. We got to do this. We got to do that. And it just felt like I was behind all the time. So I started feeling like I don't like breakfast. I didn't. I actually never liked breakfast. Um, I didn't used to like to eat breakfast even when I was like a kid. But then I especially did not like to prepare breakfast because it was just so annoying. I just feel like it's in the way. It's too much. But at this time, I started feeling like breakfast was in the way. I started feeling like I'm tired of doing this. I started feeling like this is like too much of an energy draw. So the way that I'm wired, out of my frustration is when I start seeking Yahoo for answers. So I was so frustrated that I was asking him like, what is the answer to this? Like how do I like get things done without having to worry about food preparation all the time? So that's when he began to give me wisdom. That's when he began to tell me like you don't even need to eat as much as y'all are eating. Y'all eating too much. So the first thing that I did was that I kind of like I started delaying breakfast. Let me not get into that. I'm kind of getting ahead. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But I came into a process where I began to reduce what my family ate, and it started with me and changing of my mind. So first, I want to talk about we usually think that we need to eat at least 3 times a day. That's like the norm, and a lot of us are doing more. Like I was doing 5 times, and a lot of people are doing that too. And some people are even doing even more, where it's like a open door where you can eat whenever you want, and you and your children are also allowed to eat whenever they want. Pretty much anytime they say that they're hungry. Whereas before, there used to be actual meal times. Like Americans used to have meal times, and that was just it. That's what you ate. So I started learning about like the 3 meal a day thing. And I learned that 3 meals a day is a relatively new concept. I didn't know that. My question is always what was going on, when Adam and Eve were here? Were they eating 3 meals a day? Like was Moses eating 3 meals a day? Was Noah eating 3 meals a day? These are my questions. This is how I try to find answers when I'm confused, because I'm a person who I really like order. I like for things to run smoothly. So when there's no order, when I feel like things are is always a problem and it's always bumpy, then I'm always seeking, yeah, what is your design? Yeah, what did you intend? Because this feels crazy. This feels out of order. And I know that you are an Elohim of order. So if you're an Elohim of order, then what is your way concerning this? And that's what I began to seek about food. That's when I found out that the whole 3 meal a day thing was relatively new, like only in the last couple hundred years. So before the last, few hundred years, people didn't eat 3 meals a day, and people didn't necessarily have like specific times and meal times. They ate what they could and when they could, and it was quite normal to eat once a day. And I'm also even learning that it was quite normal to not even eat every day. Some were only eating several times per week, and this was normal. So I want to tell you some things that I learned about this article that I read. Just recently I read this article from the BBC, and it was about the origin of the 3 meal a day thing. In the article, they were talking about like the beliefs of different times, people in different times. So it says that the Romans, they believed that eating more than 1 meal per day was actually gluttony. And a long time ago, Romans, it was normal for them to eat once a day and not even every day. It says that really the Industrial Revolution greatly influenced what we call regular working hours. So like what we call regular working hours, like 9 to 5 or 8 to 3 or whatever. The regular working hours that we know of began around the Industrial Revolution. So what happened was people were working more hours and they were kind of locked into a box. Whereas before, working hours might have been a little bit different, maybe a little bit flexible. But these normal working hours locked people into a box, and it put them in a position where they needed to eat before they left, because they weren't going to be home when it was time to eat the largest meal. Like the largest meal was usually around lunchtime. Dinner used to actually be at noon. And supper was actually in the evening. So what we call dinner now is actually called supper. And supper was a smaller meal. Dinner was the meal that you ate um, in the middle of the day, which was around 12 p.m. So when the normal working hours began around the Industrial Revolution, then people knew that they were not going to be home around dinner time. So then they needed to eat before they left. So that was breakfast. So the whole breakfast thing, people were not eating early in the morning. So really and truly, it was the change in the work culture that's what caused people to begin to really eat breakfast regularly. It necessitated breakfast because they knew they weren't going to eat again until they got off work. It wasn't until the 1930s that people really started pushing breakfast and started saying, like, you know how you hear, oh, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, that was actually something that was campaigned by the government, by the US government. That was something that was pushed by them, and that is very, very new. um and on the heels of saying that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, then you got all your commercials, you got your cornflakes, you got your bowl of cereal, you got all these different breakfast items that people started pushing and letting you know that it's very important that you eat this, and especially giving it to children. It's very important that you eat breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. You need to send your children to school with a full belly of cereal, which makes no sense because the things that they were pushing for breakfast wasn't even something that was good for you. Um, but the idea that you needed to eat breakfast only began like it was necessary. And even now, it's like if you don't send your child, you let your child go to school without breakfast. What kind of mother are you? It's like sending your child to school without breakfast is like abuse. It's like you're setting them up for failure. When in reality, having an empty stomach and early in the morning could actually be more beneficial to you when it comes to learning because you have more clarity in your mind. That's science right there. So, really and truly, it seems like it became a time where what we ate and the meals that we ate had more to do with the influence of the government and the influence of work culture, and not necessarily what was scientific and not necessarily what was historic and what was passed down. So that's where the idea of the whole 3 meals per day thing came from. The first people who ate 3 meals a day were actually elite people. It was actually people who were wealthy, like royalty. These are the people who were eating 3 meals per day, and it was more of a luxurious thing. It wasn't something that was necessary. It wasn't something that everybody was doing. So the times changed where I imagine that people desired that. They desired, they felt like they needed to eat 3 meals a day too. So if the elite people, those who are wealthy, are eating 3 meals a day and you're eating less, then it leads you to believe that you need to eat more and that you're in poverty. When in reality, those people actually were doing the right thing. It's funny how people are taught to believe that they're in poverty when they're actually not. They're taught to believe that they're in lack when they really are not. They're really doing exactly what they need to do, but somebody else starts doing something else. Somebody else becomes gluttonous. They are taking in way more than they need to, and they lead other people who are lower class to begin to think that they actually don't have enough. So if you feel like eating less food sounds crazy to you, listen to this. I just want to tell you some of the reasons why you should eat less food. Conserve energy in the body. You know, digestion takes a tremendous amount of energy. Every time you eat, your body has to go through all these processes to break the food down and to digest it, and it takes a lot of energy. So every time you eat, your body is starting this process over. If you eat less food, you will actually have more energy because I know that we know that food fuels the body. Yes, it does. But your body also has to burn energy to break that food down and turn it into fuel. So if you eat too much food, it actually works against you, and it's going to be counterproductive because as you are fueling your body, you're actually taking away from your body because it takes so much energy to break it down. So food fuels the body only if you're eating the optimal amount. When it becomes too much food, then it actually is a draw on the body. Free up time in your day. Oh, this is a big one. Food preparation. And food preparation also goes with cleanup too. We spend a lot of time preparing food. We spend a lot of time thinking about food, cooking food, cleaning up after we eat food. And if you're doing that multiple times per day, then you're going to be spending a lot of time. you're going to be spending a whole lot of time. You spending time when you are at work and you have to leave work and go get your food, or you stop work to eat the food, or you rush home from work or whatever you're doing and you go to the grocery store and then you cook and then you do it again and then you got to make sure you have breakfast. You get up and you cook breakfast in the morning. Even if it's something simple, even if you're doing something convenient, if it's something that's already done, it's still time involved. And if we really add up all the time that we spend cooking and preparing food, it's it's a really big draw on our day. Like we can spend that day doing some other things. So if you eat less, you'll free up more time. Eliminating waste more efficiently. This is very important. A lot of people, most people in America are constipated, and constipated doesn't just mean, oh, I can't push out a bar, I'm moving. That's not just what constipated means. It just means that you're not regularly eliminating. You're not eliminating the food that you're eating is not being eliminated fast enough. Okay, so it's not like you take in the food, you eliminate it. You take in the food, you eliminate it. It's like you take in the food, nothing happens. You take in the food, nothing happens. You take in the food, nothing. You take in the food, now you eliminate. So we're behind on elimination. That's actually what constipation is. But one of the reasons for constipation is because there's too much food. It's too much. The body can't keep up. The body cannot digest it fast enough. So it ends up being in your system much longer than it needs to be. This is another reason why it's good to eat less food, because when you eat less food, then your body can break down the food more. Your body will be like, great, we got some time, we got some energy. Let's take this opportunity to break down this food that we didn't get a chance to get to yesterday. It's like a whole assembly line, it's like a whole manufacturing line that's behind. Like eating less food will actually enable you to break down waste that you have not been able to get to, that the body has not been able to get to. So waste elimination. And then, oh, I love this one. If you eat less food, it will expose emotional dependency on food. So when you eat less food, then you start realizing that, especially if you really think about when you're hungry and when you're not really hungry. Like sometimes we're not really hungry. A lot of times we're not hungry. We're eating for entertainment. We're eating to soothe emotions. We're eating just because it's 5 o'clock. We're eating just because it's 12 o'clock. We're eating just because somebody offered it to us. Like we're not always hungry when we eat. A lot, like, and the thing is, we've been so we've made such a habit of eating for reasons other than because we're hungry and that we actually need fuel, that we don't even really think about it. It leads us to eat before we even think about if we need it. Like we'll actually have a full stomach and still just eat, just for no reason. You ever find yourself just eating something just for no reason? So it will expose emotional dependency, because if you really check yourself and say, I'm not hungry, but you still want to eat. Now the question is why you want to eat. Why do you want to eat? Let me tell you something that my daughter told me. So we've been practicing eating less. I started with myself. I started with myself because I'm the one that's, I'm into it. I'm discovering these answers. I'm looking for answers. But now I've implemented it, you know, and I feed my family less. So let me tell you one thing that it's been going very well. As a matter of fact, for breakfast, I've replaced breakfast from a meal to having tea, which is actually way better for you because it warms the digestive system up and it gets your body ready to digest. And it's a good way to bring in some minerals and some nutrients early in the morning. It's really good for eliminating waste because you're drinking something warm in the morning. And I also use teas that specifically are good for like parasitic elimination, like clove bud tea. I love clove bud tea. Like if you like chai tea, it's like that. It's like a spice tea, because cloves are used in chai anyway, but it's a spicy type tea. And I put some coconut milk in there and some vanilla extract in there and a little salt for balance, and we sweeten it up. And it's a really good tea to have in the morning. It tastes good, but it's actually good for your health. So I get them tea for breakfast, and they've been liking it. They've been enjoying it. You don't feel hungry when you drink tea. And then I push breakfast back. But let me tell you, my 8-year old, she came to me and she was like, Mama, she was like, I've been hungry, and when I'm hungry, I feel anxious. I feel anxious. but she did such a good job identifying the emotion that she felt. And I said, "You feel anxious, because you feel like you haven't eaten." She feel it's like because she feels like um because we're eating differently now, it's like she feels like she's not getting anything, okay? But she is. Let me explain, okay? Because they're eating plenty of food, okay? Don't be trying to call the people on me. But here's what I've been doing. Let me explain what I've been doing. I do tea in the morning. Sometimes I might give them like a little pancake with it or something, like a buckwheat pancake or something like that. Sometimes, but not all the time. And then a few hours after that, we'll probably have like I'll get them some fruit, maybe some grapes or something like that. And then we do instead of I kind of like what I told you, like dinner. Dinner was like the biggest meal. We do dinner like in the middle of the day, but I make it like a feast. So I cook more than I would have for a regular dinner. So and I'm gonna get into that about like have making something to look forward to, but I make like a bigger meal, okay? And then we're done eating, early in the evening. That's it, we're done eating. So whereas before I used to be feeding them at like 6 o'clock, we would eat dinner at 6. We're done eating dinner before that. So she was telling me how she felt anxious, right? I'm gonna tell you how it exposed some emotional dependency on food. So my 8-year old, she has food allergies. All right, she is allergic to wheat, and she used to be allergic to eggs, and she is severely allergic to Brazil nuts, and she also was allergic to milk. Her allergies is what really opened up the door for me to change our diet in a big way because I was trying to figure out what was going on with her. I was trying to remedy it. I was trying to like make sure she wasn't eating the wrong thing. And that actually changed how the entire family ate too. So she's been allergic to things since she was very little, right? So she had to eat differently than other people. Um, so what happened was I saw this, and this is what I was trying my best to avoid, but I saw her becoming emotional about food, and I saw her like feeling like she had lack in food because sometimes there'll be something that other people can eat, but she couldn't eat it. Or maybe we had to wait. She had to wait so that we can get her something to eat. So she's seeing a lot of, okay, we got a pizza over here. We got a pizza for us, but we got to go somewhere else and get hers. So this pizza that, people, kids are excited. Yay, pizza, pizza, pizza. But she knows that she's not getting any of that, but we go get something from her, but there's still a gap where she knows that she's not getting that and she feels lack where she sees everybody else have something, but now we got to go get hers. Or maybe I make pasta and there's regular pasta over here for everybody else, or we still boiling yours, hold on, hers is not done yet. You see what I'm saying? Or like she would have gluten-free bread, and there are times where the other my children, maybe they ate some of her bread, and then she would get really upset, like, they eat what they can eat, and then they eat some of mine, then mine's gone, I don't have any, and I can't eat what they eat. So I saw that her having food allergies, it caused her to develop a mindset of lack surrounding food. So with food, it's like she feels like she has to secure it. It feels like she got to see it. I got to make sure I have enough. I got to make sure I got something I can eat. Okay, they having this. Let me make sure I have something too. Okay, y'all having and the things I'm naming is stuff that we used to eat. We don't even eat it anymore. But it's like, okay, they got cookies. I gotta make sure I got some too. Do you have some for me? Okay, they having that. Are you gonna bring something for me when we go to this party? When we go to these people's house, are you gonna have something for me? So she has an insecurity surrounding food being secure for her. All right. So us eating less has exposed that insecurity in her. And so even though she has food and she's not hungry, she's still like, I feel anxious. I feel anxious because I feel like I don't have food. I feel like I don't have enough because it's not steady, 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 steady like that. It's like, okay, drink that tea and we'll have something else a little later. All right, here y'all. Y'all can have an apple. You want some grapes? All right, that's good. Next meal is dinner. So that has exposed her dependency, that some emotional dependency on food to feel secure. And I had to talk her through it. And I'm like, I see how you feel. You feeling anxious. I said, you got to really remind yourself that you do have food and that you have eaten and that you are healthy and you're nourished. You got to remind yourself of that. Okay. And I'm gonna talk more about that later. Another thing that eating less food will do, it will teach you focus. Okay. Which first thing that comes to my mind is the scripture that Yahuwah has told us that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded from the mouth of Yahuwah. So we shouldn't just be so worried about food all the time. We focus a lot on food. We do. If you really think about how many times you think about food, eat food, do something that involves preparation of food, securing food, planning for food. If you really think about it, it is a lot. It's a whole lot. But when you compare that to the amount of time that we might spend doing something else productive, like working on our purpose or doing something else that we should do, food and food preparation is competing with that. And when you eat less, for one, your focus becomes better because you have more energy in your body going towards thinking and mental functions rather than digesting. So you're better able to focus for that reason. You're also better able to focus when you have less food in your digestive system and your waste is being eliminated. You're able to focus more. So we got three ways you're able to focus. You're able to focus because you have more mental clarity and you have more energy going towards your mental functions. You're able to focus because you have better digestion going on in your digestive system where there's not chaos in your gut and you're eliminating better. And you're also better able to focus because you're not thinking about food all the time, like in the back of your mind. Like one big thing, I spent so much time trying to figure out, oh man, I gotta figure out what we're gonna eat for dinner. I gotta go to the store, I gotta get this. It's been times where I was spending time trying to figure out what a meal was gonna be. And then I just was like, I don't have to do all that. We can just eat something simple, even if it's just a fruit. Like I'm allowed to give you fruit for dinner. Like I can do that. That's allowed. But so much, it will teach you mental focus. It will teach you to focus on something besides something that satisfies the flesh. This is a big one. Self control. I've been talking to my children about hunger and self control for years because when you eat less food, it will teach you self control because you're telling yourself that hunger is not an emergency. Like Like being hungry doesn't mean that this is an emergency. I'm hungry. I need to eat right now. Hunger is an emergency when you're actually going through withdrawal though, because you're eating foods that are addictive and that are not good for you. So when you're eating foods that are highly addictive, you're eating sugars, then when you become hungry, you're gonna get headache, you become fatigued, you be irritable, you get the shakes. Like then that's why it feels like it's an emergency to you because you're mistaking withdrawal for hunger, but that's not the same thing. That's why people think that hunger is an emergency, but it's really the withdrawal that they're experiencing. So eating less food will teach you that hunger is not an emergency and you need to have self-control. If you're hungry, that's fine, but tell yourself you need to wait. Tell yourself to wait. Sometimes my children come to me, I'm hungry, mama. Okay, I say, wait till the next meal. No, but I'm really hungry. I understand. Wait till the next meal. But I'm really, really hungry. I got you. Wait till the next meal, though. Tell yourself, I'm okay and I can wait until the next meal. You don't always have to eat just because you're hungry. Just because your stomach growls doesn't mean you need to put something in your mouth. Sometimes you might need to wait a couple more hours, and that's okay. But and I just want to insert this. This just came to me. We got to make sure we're not raising weak people. We don't want to raise weak individuals who will buckle as soon as their stomach growls. Soon as your stomach growl, oh my God, I'm hungry. I got to eat something. If you cannot endure hunger, I guarantee you it's a whole lot of things you can't endure. If you fall apart because you haven't eaten in a little while, and I guarantee you'll fall for a lot of temptations. I guarantee you won't be able to resist a lot of things, resist control of people. I mean, resist people trying to control you because if you cannot wait to eat, you can be controlled. If it's like a dog, okay? That sounds bad, but listen, it's like a dog. Some people have dogs who have no self control. I think most people's dogs have like little to no self control. And if you put some food on the ground, that dog gonna eat it. If somebody else try to feed your dog, that dog will eat it. Some people have had their dog stolen, and this is a really big thing. Like, uh, I know at least where I'm from in Detroit, like if somebody want to steal your dog, this how they steal your dog. They'll steal your dog by and they'll come by and they'll feed your dog, and they'll do that for a while. They might feed your dog for a week. And you can have a ferocious dog. You know, the dog can be a dog that's coveted and it can be ferocious, but this is how people groom your dog and get your dog to let their guard down. So they'll come by and they'll feed your dog. You know, they'll just walk past. It could be a complete stranger. They just walk past the fence, get a dog a piece of meat. Then they'll do it the next day. Get a dog a piece of meat. And then what will happen is the dog will get used to you giving it food, and it's looking forward to the food. And then next thing you know, the person gets the leash and take the dog, and the dog will go with the person because the dog wants the food. The dog don't care about the person. The dog just wants the food. That's a dog that has no self-control. Now, some people have dogs that are highly trained and they do have self-control. You try to feed it, they won't eat it at all. Somebody drops some food. I seen this one video of this man. He left like a whole pizza in the floor. He told his dog, "I'm leaving because I'm going to get some drinks from the store, and I don't want you to eat my pizza, okay?" And the dog really didn't eat it. He left the pizza in the floor wide open, and the man left. And the dog sat there, and he was looking at it, and then the dog turned around. The dog's so intelligent that he removed himself from the temptation, and he turned himself around and didn't look at the pizza, and he resisted it until his owner came back, and his owner was so proud he never touched it. So that dog was highly trained with self-control. A dog like that, a dog like that cannot be um controlled by a person. Another person could never come around and take that dog or make that dog do something else, because that dog has self-control. He's not falling for it over a treat. You're not going to be able to use a treat to control that dog. So I say this to compare this to just humans in general. If you always got to have something to eat, you can be easily controlled. You can. Let's even look at this on, let's just say, okay, let's just say, um y'all forbid there was some kind of invasion. Okay, let's say there was some kind of invasion from another nation, and they wanted to control you with food. Okay, if you're a person you think food is an emergency, you're gonna do whatever they tell you to do. Let's not even say any invasion, okay? Let's just say there's some kind of government takeover or something like that. Let's just say some kind of government takeover, and they control the food supply. And they tell you, hey, if you don't do XYZ, then you can't get your rations. Well, if you're a person who you've been eating a toxic diet, so when you don't eat, you go through withdrawal. You have never practiced fasting, so you can't go hungry for more than a few hours. You think hunger is an emergency. You used to eating 3 to 5 meals per day. It's gonna be so easy to control you. It's gonna be so easy to get you to do what they want you to do because you're gonna be hungry. And you so afraid of hunger that you're gonna do whatever you're told to do. But if you're a person who has self-control and you know that hunger is not an emergency, and you've practiced fasting and you're not eating a toxic diet, so when you stop eating, you don't go through withdrawal, then when you go hungry, you realize that you go into a fast and you actually become better. You become more powerful. You get more clarity. You get more energy. You start glowing because you didn't eat. So if you're a person who cannot go without food, you lack self control. And if you lack self control, you could be taken advantage of in many ways. When you eat less food, you have a greater appreciation for food. When I started giving my children less food, I started noticing that they actually ate all their food. I don't deal with waste as much as I was dealing with before. That's because I was feeding them too much. Maybe they wanted to eat the food, but they weren't really hungry. So then stuff will go to waste. Listen, any parent out there, you know about that. Them you know about the apples in the floor that's half bitten off of. You know about the bananas. You ever find a banana somewhere nasty? You have a child that asks you, "Can I have a banana?" And you like, You always ask for bananas, but you don't eat them. And then you find that banana somewhere behind the couch, smashed into the carpet, smashed into the carpet. And you see all this stuff that's going to waste. I remember my oldest daughter, she used to love goldfish, right? And everybody knew that she loved goldfish, so everybody would buy her goldfish as a gift. It's her birthday, get her some goldfish. She coming over your house, get her some goldfish. And she had goldfish everywhere she went. First grandchild, spoiled, goldfish at every grandparent's house. People would bring her goldfish all the time. We buy her goldfish, keep it in the house. It was too much for her though. I remember one day she had a there was they made some baby goldfish, and I remember she opened the pack and she used to call them fish, and she said, "I want some fish. I want some fish." You're like, "Okay, here you go." And she had the whole bag, and she took it and she said, and she dumped them in the floor. And I said, "Why did you do that?" And that's when I realized she gets it too much. So I remember I stopped buying it because I realized she gets so much of it and she sees so much of it. It's such an abundance that she doesn't value it anymore. Another thing, since I've been feeding my children less. Now, I don't want you to think they over here in lack or they or they being starved out. They're not. I have a different strategy. So, like I said, I prepare way more food for dinner earlier in the day, and I like it to be more of like a feast. And so my son, my 12-year-old, which you got a growing boy, they need to eat. He wants to eat a lot. And one important thing, this is really important, is that y'all gave me this wisdom, is that it's natural for a young man to have food. Okay. So one of the markers of masculinity is to be able to secure food. That's completely masculine, right? So normal. So if a male cannot secure food, hold on. So if a male cannot get what he wants to eat, okay? This is masculinity, is being able to secure food and eat what you want to eat. If a male cannot secure what he wants to eat and he can't eat, freely, then it's emasculating to him because it is natural for a male to look at something and say, "I'm hungry. I'm about to go eat that. I'm about to go get that. I'm gonna go secure it. I want it this. I want to eat this particular thing. I'm gonna make the money and go buy it. I want to feed my family this way. I'm about to go get it." So y'all gave me this wisdom, okay? So I have to make sure I'm careful in how I deal with my boys when it comes to food, because when boys feel like they can't eat what they want to eat, it feels emasculating to them. It's not just about food. So when you are a parent and you're trying to teach your sons how to eat well, you also have to have some wisdom on how you're going to implement well eating without making them feel emasculated. Okay. I just want to say that. So one thing that was really significant for me is that since we've been eating less, I've been making these really big meals. And so my son, my 12-year-old, he was like, he said, I kind of like eating like this. I said, "You do?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I like having a feast in the middle of the day." So that was really encouraging to me, that he's not just seeing it as lack. He sees it as really that he's gaining something, and he appreciates food even more. And I love making a lot of food and let him know you can eat all you want, eat as much as you want, and like he and it was a pasta that I made. Okay. I made like this dairy free Alfredo with broccoli and some jovial pasta. What is jovial pasta? It's made out of. I no, this one was good. This one was a gluten free one, but I made a, Alfredo, a broccoli Alfredo with a dairy free broccoli Alfredo. Okay, he really loved that pasta. He loved it so much that he asked me to make it again. But he said this time I want to make it. So that time he and I made it together. I think we had salad with it, and when he was eating his first and his seconds and his thirds, he was like, "Can I like put some away?" I was like, "Yeah." And that made him feel good because we're eating in the middle of the day, and which makes it better because you're not eating at night, because I always tell them, we're not eating at night. Don't eat at night. Don't eat at night. It's time to go to bed. But it felt good for him that he was able to eat all that he wanted, and then he put some away. He like, I'm gonna eat this later, and later was like still early in the day, because I think when we ate it was probably like 12. So he put some away and he ate that probably maybe 3 o'clock. And then still, we still done eating early in the evening. So he liked that. So he still felt like he had abundance. You see what I'm saying? So I changed how we ate, how we were eating, freed up some mental focus and clarity, and freed up energy in our body, promoted better waste elimination. I'm teaching discipline, self-discipline, and at the same time, they feel like they gain something. All right. Oh, here's a big one. Okay. If you cook less food, if you eat less food, if you buy less food, you will save some money. Now, here's something major. Here's something major. This is something that I noticed that Yah loves to do. Sometimes when we think we have lack, it's not lack, it's redirecting. He's trying to teach us something. Sometimes when you think you don't have what you need and you can't get what you need, he's trying to teach you that you don't need that thing that you think you need. So when we're feeling like, if you're a person and you're feeling like, oh, Father, the grocery prices are high and everything's going up, or I lost my SNAP benefits, or I don't know what to do, everything is high and I'm trying to feed my family. It's like the Ruach is listening to you. The Holy Spirit is listening to you and saying, eat less food. You don't need that much food. I'm trying to show you, you never needed that much food in the first place. So really what you're going to see is two different mindsets. You're going to see a splitting of two mindsets. Whereas before, everybody was eating in abundance, okay? For the most part. I mean, like, the majority of people were eating in abundance. But now there is a separation, okay? Now, these difficult times and things becoming harder and harder to secure is going to bring a separation of mindset. You're going to have two sets of people. You're going to have a set of people who are thinking in lack and they feel like victims and they feel like I don't have enough and I can't get enough and everything's high and everybody's trying to hurt me and everybody's trying to take from me. And then you're going to have another group of people who are going to adapt. They're going to adapt and they're going to be like, hey, if everything is higher, let me figure out another way. Let's eat less. And that's another thing, that's another point that I could have brought up. Being adaptable. This is really huge. I really stress this and I really believe in being adaptable. I don't care how hard anything gets. I don't care how difficult anything is. T gonna figure it out. All right. Call me ingenuity, call me creativity, call me productivity, right? Call me thrifty. I got all these different names for myself. You go hear more another time. But be determined to have what you need and to be adaptable. Nobody should be able to put you in pain. Nobody should be able to make anything harder for you. Let them know you try to make something harder for me. I'm just gonna get better. I'm gonna come out even better. And that's the thing about like rising grocery prices. Okay, the grocery prices rising, it's becoming more and more difficult to secure food. Okay, I'm just gonna be better because I'm gonna start eating less food, and that's actually making me better. So is it that times are really becoming difficult, or is it that Yah is improving his people by teaching us something that you didn't need that much food in the first place? I need y'all to focus on me some more. I need you to I need you to not live by bread alone, but live by every word that's proceeding out of my mouth. I need you to free up some mental space so that I can get you to be more creative. I need you to have more energy so that you'll be able to carry out the things that I'm putting in your heart. I need you to eliminate this waste so that you'll be able to hear me better in your belly. Is it that we have lack, or is it that Yahuwah is improving his people? It's all about how you think about it as perspective. Now, let's talk about reasons. These are reasons why people would not want to reduce what they eat. They're afraid of malnourishment. A lot of people don't even know what malnourishment is. You could be eating all day long every day and be malnourished. And guess what? Most people in this country are malnourished. Malnourished means that you're not getting all the vitamins, all the nutrients and the minerals that you need. You can be eating food all day and not be getting what you need. And that's actually true for a lot of people because you're eating a lot of processed stuff, and even the produce doesn't have as much nutrients as it could have because the soil has been robbed. The soil is not rich as it should be, but people are eating overly processed food that has no nutritional value, so you malnourished anyway. So it's not just that you're supposed to just reduce your portions. No, we're talking about eating less often and not eating as many different meals. You you will end up getting more nutrient dense foods if you do this. Instead, see like this, instead of giving your children chips for a snack, give them some fruit. Like, give them something, give them some fruit instead of giving them fruit snacks. Give them some fruit. Give them a real fruit snack, an actual apple, instead of giving them things that are shelf stable. Like, for example, applesauce. Instead of giving them applesauce, give them an actual apple that is more nutrient dense. It has more nutrients in it. It's living. It's more hydrating. You're actually going to be saving there, because if you're eating foods that are more nutrient dense, that is going to actually fuel your body, then you don't have to try to buy something else, because your body is going to still feel hungry, because if it's saying, I'm nope, I still didn't get it. I know you just ate a whole hamburger, I know you just ate all those fries, but I still have not gotten those nutrients, so I need you to eat something else. This is why people are hungry all the time. But if you eat foods that are more nutrient dense, you're not going to be hungry all the time, because your body's actually going to be getting the nutrients that it needs. See what I'm saying? So don't be afraid that you're gonna be malnourished. You probably malnourished anyway. If you're scared of being malnourished, you probably already malnourished. You are probably the people who are malnourished. um, People are afraid of weight loss. This is a big thing. A lot of times people are like, oh, I don't want to lose any weight. Okay. First of all, here's the problem. We're afraid of losing weight if it's because we've gotten used to a physique that's really not even ours. We have attached our self image to a physique that has come from toxins and waste buildup. Now, this is something that I had to come to grips with myself. Like, okay, you see me right now? I'm like 130 pounds right now, right? Okay. This is not my regular weight. Shoot, listen, last time I was 130 pounds, I was probably in middle school. Dead serious. I probably was in eighth grade or seventh grade the last time I was this weight. Um, Probably sixth grade actually. But my normal, before I had my first baby, I was 150 pounds, right? And then after that, like my the stretch of childbearing years that I had, I was like my normal weight was like 160 pounds. I was comfortable at that weight. I felt like everything was in the right place. Everything was everything was in the right place. But as I changed my diet, my body started changing. I started losing weight in places that I didn't want to lose weight. And it took me a while to, you know, like accept it. But one of the ways that I began to accept it was because I began to realize that, man, like, if I eat the diet that's good for me, isn't the way that I look the way that I should look? Because we all have genes, right? You have a genetic makeup that codes your body for how it's supposed to be built. This is how your body's supposed to be built. Okay. So if you eat a good diet, you're not eating processed food, you're not eating sugar, you're eating a good diet, however your body ends up, that's really how your DNA has coded you to look. So however you look outside of that is not, you were not coded to look like that. So you could take on another look that you were not coded to have by working out. So which is fine. Like, if you decide that you want to bulk up, you want more muscles, you want like, for a woman, you want your hips to be bigger, you want your butt to be bigger, you want your chest to be tighter. For guys, you want your arms to be bigger, your chest to be bigger, your legs to be bigger. Nothing wrong with working out. If you want something to be built up, work out and build it up. That's a healthy way to build it up. But what's not healthy is for us to overeat, eat toxic food, hold on to a toxic diet because we want to stay curvy. And this is usually for women, because we want to keep our breasts and our butt and our thighs. But if you got to eat trash to do that, then baby, you need to let that go. You need to accept a slimmer look. And if you don't want to accept that, that's fine. Just build it up with muscle, right? So don't be afraid to lose weight. you're not going to lose anything that you need. As long as you're eating foods that are nutrient dense, you're going to maintain a healthy weight. So eating less is not going to cause you to lose weight that you don't need to lose. You're not going to, start showing your bones and nothing like that. Being hungry. A lot of people are afraid of being hungry. And like I said, people are afraid of being hungry because they think that the withdrawal is hungry. They confuse withdrawal symptoms for hunger. So they feel like if I don't eat, I'm going to get a headache. If I don't eat, I'm going to get nauseous. I'm going to be fatigued. I'm going to be tired. I'm going to have low energy. I'm going to get jittery. I'm going to be hangry. And so that's why I don't want to miss any food. I need my food because I get hangry. No, you being withdrawal, no different than a drug addict. And that's what you're afraid of, just like drug addicts. Why do drug addicts do drugs? First, they do drugs because they like it. Then they do drugs because they're hooked on it. Then they do drugs because they're afraid of the withdrawal. You got people who are drug addicts because they are terrified of the withdrawal symptoms because it's that brutal. So they stay on it just because of that. So it's no different than people who are you're afraid of being hungry. So you maintain a toxic way of eating, an unhealthy way of eating because you're afraid of the withdrawal symptoms. That's not good. This is addiction. That's literally what addiction is. Another thing that people are afraid of, they're afraid of not having food because they're emotionally dependent on it. So and listen, have you ever did like a cleanse and you decide you're gonna eat clean, right? And you eat clean. I'm gonna have like this is the thing that people like when people work out, this is what they usually do. We're gonna do chicken breast, we're gonna do some broccoli and brown rice, and we're gonna do that 5 days a week. We're gonna do a little piece of salmon, we're gonna do some mixed vegetables and brown rice. That's what you're gonna eat every day. We're eating clean, right? People will eat that, and then as soon as you eat it, it did not satisfy you. Like you feel like I should be eating something else. I should be like, I want to eat something else. And it really exposes the fact that you, even besides the invaders in your body, that are really like, you know what I'm saying, you ain't eat what we wanted you to eat, you also realize that you were getting dopamine hits from the food that you were eating. Like what people call comfort food, you were getting dopamine hits from that. You were dependent on that. So now that you eat some food, yes, the food fueled your body, but it didn't give you the dopamine hit that you were looking for. And now you feel like you like, man, like I know I ain't hungry, but I need something, like something. What you want? Like you want something sweet more than likely. And if it's not something sweet, you want something salty, something crunchy. You want something that's gonna make you feel good. And it reveals that you are actually emotionally dependent on the foods that you're eating. But when you start eating less, you expose that, and it also forces you to turn to something else. So anybody with children, I know you had children come up to you and they come up to you, um, I'm um I'm hungry. No, they're not. They're bored. They just you be like, you just ate. How could you be hungry? You're not hungry. It's that they're bored and they haven't quite gotten that hit that they wanted, so they don't know what to do with themselves. So they come and say they're hungry in hopes that you'll give them something that will give them that dopamine hit. So they say, I'm hungry. And what you do, you let them go in there and get a granola bar. You let them go in there and get a bag of chips. And then that satisfies them. They weren't hungry though. They actually just needed something to soothe that emotion of boredom. They need that dopamine hit. Okay. Another thing happens um, when somebody's upset, you get them some food to eat. And I'm going to tell you how I've been challenged. I've been challenged because I've learned to pay attention to myself. And I said this too before. Um, a lot of parents, you need to be very, very mindful that some of the food that you're giving your children, you're feeding them out of your emotions. Yeah, yeah. You felt bad today. So you got something to make your children happy. So that will make you happy. Ooh, ouch, ouch. You were sad. You were sad today. You cried in a car today. And you cried so hard that when you thought about dinner, you decided that you was gonna make something good. You were gonna make something real good for them. So you go home and you make that meal and your family feel like you really blessed them. they just feel like, man, mama, she just made this amazing meal. She made such a good meal for us. And I'm so happy. Like, she really loved us. And yeah, it was love, but I mean, really, it was largely out of your emotions. You felt bad. So you did something to make them happy that would make you feel good.
Okay, so if if the concept that I'm talking about eating less food, if this resonates with you and you feel like you want to do this in your house for yourself or for your family, then I want to give you some tips on how to implement this. If you want to know, like, how can I start doing this? Because you want to do it, but you want to do it in wisdom. You understand what I'm saying? Remember, I talked about emotional attachments and how we don't want to be cruel. So number one, the very first thing is you need to change yourself, and you're doing it already. If you made it this far, thank you for listening, first of all. And you're doing really good. It shows that you're seeking knowledge. You want to make a change. You want to do better. You want to do better for yourself and for those who are connected to you. So the first thing you want to do is change yourself. Test out the eating less for yourself. Gradually wean yourself off of eating too much. Deal with your emotions and then challenge yourself and figure out, why am I eating? Am I eating too much? See how you want to set up your daily eating regimen. Do that first. Okay, so you want to erase all the cultural norms, erase the whole 3 meals a day thing, erase the whole what is breakfast and what is lunch and what is dinner. Erase all of that. Forget about what you've been told, what's been passed down unchecked, and I want you to begin to analyze everything. Nothing gets in without you rethinking it and realizing or figuring out, do I actually want to do this thing that I've been doing? Let me actively figure out, do I want to do this for myself? Okay, so that's the first thing that you're going to do. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to begin, after you've already had this done for yourself, you're going to begin implementing this with your family quietly. And by quietly, I mean, don't make an announcement. Don't be like, we need to start eating less. Try not to do that. Because a lot of times when you make an announcement, it immediately causes people to clam up. They immediately become fearful of a change, fearful of, you're going to do something that I don't like. And they'll reject it before they even know what it feels like, or if it's good or not, or if they even like it, they don't give it an opportunity. So you want to do it quietly, and you want to do it gradually. And you want to do it gradually because, like I said, we have emotional attachments to food. Our eating habits are very much so knitted into our entire being because we've been eating, obviously, since we were babies. So even if your attachment to food is toxic, even if your emotional attachment to food leads to conditions in your body and things like that, it's still your emotions, and that those emotions are still a part of you, and you don't want to be cruel when you make a change. And I'm really meaning this for children. So if you want to do this with your children, you don't want to just up and suddenly say, oh, this is what we're going to do, we're going to take this away, because we want to be wise. Okay, we promote the kingdom mindset around here. I said eat less, I didn't say live in lack. I said eat less, I didn't say take on a poverty mindset. And that's exactly what will happen if you snatch something from somebody too soon. You can cause them to have a mindset of lack. You can cause them emotional trauma. You can cause them to resent you. And we don't want to do that. So we're going to make it a gradual change. When I did this with my children, the very first time that I started giving them less food, I didn't say anything. I just put breakfast off. Like, they woke up and they were ready for breakfast, and I was just like, hey, go clean your room up. Hey, go get dressed. Did you brush your teeth? I know you haven't had breakfast yet, but you can brush your teeth. Hey, can you put in a load for the laundry? I just kept doing something else and pushing breakfast back before I even told them what I was doing. And eventually they might have said something about it, and I told them, hey, we're going to eat breakfast a little bit later. But I didn't make it like something grand. I didn't make it a big deal. Like, from now on, we will no longer, I didn't do that because that could be scary. So I just said, just do these things first and then we'll have breakfast. I did that like a whole week. I just kept putting it off until they got used to it. It doesn't take that long to like change your entire routine for how you eat. Just 1 week of changing the time that you eat will cause you to have an appetite for that time. So then what started happening was, like, my little ones will be up and I just let them play. So I didn't say come and eat. I just let them keep playing. If you notice, children, as long as they're playing, then they're occupied, they don't even realize the hunger that they're having. They usually would keep going and keep going. Okay, I know I gotta insert this here just because it's funny. You ever went to a barbecue or a family reunion or something like that, and your children were running around with their cousins and having a ball, and there was food everywhere, and then after reunion was over, after the picnic or whatever was over, you get in the car to go home, and then your child say, "I'm hungry." And you be like, how much you hungry? How are you hungry? All that food was there. And they say, I didn't eat. And you said, what you mean you didn't eat? That's happened to me before. But anyway, when children are having fun, they're not thinking about being hungry. So that's something you can do. If you want to implement this, let your children get up. Some of them are old enough that they can work on responsibilities. Some of them you can wake them up and just be like, hey, it's time to, you can play for a little while. Play with this, put this puzzle together or something like that. Another thing that I do, I started doing devotion first. So I had them wake up, and then we would pray, read the word, and then we'll have breakfast after that. So I was pushing it back even further. This is really, really important. You want to provide emotional support. Whatever it is that you implement, whatever it is that you say, whatever new thing that you introduce to your children, you need to make sure that you're able to provide the emotional support they need for the change. So if you're not ready to provide that, don't even start it. So if you give your children less food, you need to make sure that you're reassuring them it's okay. I know you're hungry, but you're going to eat. It's all right. I'm going to have this. You want to go help me with it? Can you go prep me? Why don't you go in there and put the stuff on the counter? We're almost there. We're going to get started in about 30 minutes. And you let them know that I know you're hungry, but you're not going to die. I promise. You're going to get used to it. I'm hungry too. I tell them that. I'm hungry too. My stomach is growling, but I'm going to be okay. And you're going to be okay too. They need that emotional support, because feeling hungry, if it feels like an emergency to them, even though we understand why, all the reasons why I told you it's an emergency, like I told you that hunger is not really an emergency, but they feel like it's an emergency, you need to provide the emotional support, because we don't want to leave them feeling like they are in a crisis and you just making light of it and just saying, we ain't eating breakfast yet, okay? Another thing was empathizing. Like I told you, letting them know how you feel, that you're hungry, and sometimes you wake up hungry, but you still tell yourself that you have to wait. Make sure that you include yourself in it, because like when you're changing your family's diet, you never want to be the person who is like has no feelings, and you just eat the perfect diet and you don't get hungry, you don't have any temptations, and you're fine, and they're just overreacting. You don't ever want them to feel like that. That's what will cause them to resent the dietary change. You want to let them know that you're going through the same things, that you're grieving too. It's difficult for you too, but this is for the best for all of us. Let them know that, and that'll give them the ability to embrace it more. Offer them whole fruits in between meals. If they got to have something to eat, if they just feel like they absolutely have to have something, give them some fruit. Give them something that is not addictive. Don't give them bread and stuff like that. Give them some fruit, whole fruit that's fresh, because that's always good for you. So give them something like that. Right now, I got children who told me they didn't like apples and bananas, who eating apples and bananas because they ain't nothing else. Because you're hungry, and usually when people are still addicted, or people still have a memory in their mind that they really want to have certain foods, like usually bread or something sweet or something like that, usually when they say they're hungry, that's what they want to eat. They don't say, hey, I'm hungry, can I get an apple or nothing like that. They're doing that now, okay? So they'll be saying, I'm hungry, and I got children eating bananas who said they hated bananas, and they say, can I have a banana? Sure, have a banana. Eliminate addictive foods, okay? So you don't want to be doing this with addictive foods, because the addictive foods is going to make you want to eat more and more. Okay, so those foods that are addictive, those foods that are high in sugars, the breads, the pastas, the sugary stuff, the cheese is very addictive. All this stuff is addictive, and if you give this to them and say we're going to eat less, it's going to make it harder for them, because they're still going to be going through those withdrawals. They're going to go through those withdrawals because they're still eating those high sugar, highly addictive items, and they're not going to be able to endure with it. So you got to see that eating less goes hand in hand with other concepts as well. Make a feast for them. This is so big. This is what I love. So since I've been feeding my children less, I make a feast for them like around dinner time, which for us now is like the middle of the day. So one of the first days when I gave them less food, I made them a really big, beautiful spread. It was like my 10-year-old, she made some tabbouleh. I bought some hummus. I usually make hummus, but I bought it. I bought some hummus. She made some tabbouleh. I made some flatbread, or somebody, one of them, maybe it was me. But I made some spelt flatbread, like some little ones. And we had fruit, we had mandarins, pomegranates, figs, grapes, all kinds of stuff. It was a beautiful spread, and we ate it at the park. I actually have it on Instagram. If you see my Instagram, you see it's on there. And my Instagram is _productivity, TEE. But anyway, I made a beautiful spread, picture perfect spread, knockout spread, and it was a feast. And they loved it. They smashed it. It made them excited about it. One important thing, like my son, he's been saying since I've been doing this. He said, Mom, I like this eating less thing. I said, you do? And he said, yeah. I said, why? He said, because I get to eat a feast. That was really important. That was really important. Go to bed earlier. Just like this the common sense part that we don't think about. Go to bed. Why are you up? Like, you up, it's gonna make you eat more. You up, you're gonna you're gonna be hungry, and then you're gonna start eating stuff that you shouldn't eat at the time that you shouldn't eat it. Go to bed. Okay? Sometimes your children are up too late. Sometimes you're feeding your children too much food and they're saying they're hungry, but the reason why they're hungry is because they're up at 11 o'clock when they should have been asleep. They should have been in the bed. They need to go to bed. They need to go to bed because they need rest. They need to go to bed because you need rest. You need some time alone. But if you go to bed and everybody goes to bed, nobody's eating. That's one thing that you can do to help implement the eating less thing. And offer tea at night and in the morning. Like, if somebody's really hungry, like my children know that I'm not gonna give you food. If you say you're hungry late at night, I'm not gonna give you any food. It ain't gonna happen. But I will give you some tea. Might give you some coconut milk in it, maybe. But I will give you a nice cup of warm tea, just so your stomach won't be hurting. Okay, I don't want food in your digestive system, but you don't have to be in pain like if you really, really that hungry. Do it in the morning too. Tea in the morning, like I told you, I give my children tea in the morning. And what I love to do, I like to have it ready. Have the tea ready before they wake up, so that when they wake up, they feel invited. It feels like abundance, and it doesn't feel like you woke up and there's nothing to eat. Oh, you gotta wait. No, you wake up and there's a nice cup. Like I was doing paper cups, like paper to go coffee cups. I was doing those with their names on it. They wake up and you see everybody's name on a paper cup, and you get to take your tea. That makes somebody feel good. They feel invited. They feel like you care. They feel loved, and not like you just making them suffer because you're always doing this healthy stuff. Okay? But you could do this. Get some nice mugs. That's another thing that I did. I bought some really cute little pumpkin mugs for like fall stuff, and I pour that in there, and they feel like it. So it's not just a feast of eating, it's a feast of the eyes. It's a feast of the emotions. You can make memories, and you can make them feel good emotionally without necessarily compromising health. We don't have to overeat to feel good emotionally surrounding food. Okay, some of your emotions with food is connected to how beautiful it is. Make the things more beautiful, make a more beautiful presentation, and that'll make them more satisfied without necessarily eating more food or more often during the day. So all these things you can do, implement these things if you want to eat less, if you want to be adaptable, if you want to eliminate waste and have more mental clarity and focus and free up some mental bandwidth, if you want to free up some time, you want to save some money, do these things. All right, so that's all I got to tell y'all for tonight. I hope you, if you implement this, I would like to know about it. I would like to hear about it. I would like to hear what you think about all of this. Like, is it resonate with you? Have you already done it? Have you heard this in the spirit? What are you doing in your house? But yes, I am Katila Usuri. I'm a distributor of wisdom from Yahuwah. I speak it, I write it, and I model it. Y'all have a good evening.